Hello, Tammy. Are you there?
I am. How are you?
Hey. I'll zoom in here a little bit if I can figure out the controls.
Yeah, you look lonely sitting at the big table. So are things getting more active there on campus?
Yeah, we've got students starting to drop stuff off in dorms. They can't move in yet, but they're, normally they wouldn't move in till, a few days before school starts, but they're trying to spread out the move-in process. And so lots of families are, dropping off supplies and clothing and all that kind of stuff and just leaving it in the dorm room and then leaving. They'll be back in 10 days or whatever it is now.
Right. It'll be an interesting year.
I hope that's all it is. It's just interesting.
Right. Hi, Chelsea.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Good.
They say that's the quote of the year. You're on mute.
Yeah, definitely.
I hope everyone got a chance to look at the agenda and that I didn't forget anything major. I hope. It's 9 o'clock. Shall we go ahead and get started?
Sure. I guess is everyone here that's planning on being here, Tammy?
Well, I know Gretchen said she would be in and out as much as be here as much as she could.
Okay.
They
All
have
right.
480 backpacks to get ready.
All right, so she's busy. Okay, well, let's go ahead. Good morning, everyone. Let's go ahead and call the meeting to order. My computer says at 9:01 a.m. Tina, do you want to do roll call, please?
Okay, I'm here. Dave Graber,
I'm here.
Karen Davos.
I'm here.
I'm saying it, spelled it wrong. Jennifer Norton,
Here.
Chris Burmeister. Is she KSS? Okay. Chris the Porter.
Yes, I'm here. Hello.
Megan Tomaszewicz. No. Rosa Schmidt.
Here.
Yeah, that's everybody, right? I'm missing one. That's all the board members.
Is he here?
Good morning.
I'm here.
I know we took a roll, but does anybody know who KSS is? Dee Johnson?
Good morning. I'm just here just because. And KSS would be Kim Psalm. So
Right.
she's from, yep, she's from Central as well.
All right, that's it.
Morning.
Growling at you. Like the cat.
I'm in a meeting, Connie.
Wait a minute.
Okay, next on the agenda is introductions. Tammy, do we have guests joining us? Is that why you want to do introductions?
I kind of followed the agenda that Eric had, and introductions was part of it. So I thought if there were other people who are not on the board that were in attendance, we could ask for introductions. But if everyone knows everyone, we can certainly skip that.
Okay. Next on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda for today's meeting, please?
Also move.
Is that Karen?
This
Yes.
is Karen.
I'll second.
That was Rosa. Tina? All right, so we have a motion to approve the agenda and a second by Rosa. All okay with that?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? So moved. All right, so next, the approval of the minutes from the last board meeting.
I just noticed one minor typo in number 6. It just misspelled my name. Left out the R.
Okay.
There it is. Got it.
Otherwise, any changes or amendments to the meeting minutes from the last meeting on May 1st? Okay. So we just need a motion to approve the minutes with the correction in number 6 with the spelling of Karen's name.
Also moved that they be approved.
And a second, please.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded to approve the minutes from the May 1st meeting. So all okay with that? Say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, so the minutes from the previous meeting are approved. Thank you. Next up is Krista's, the Nebraska Library Commission report. Morning, Krista.
Hello. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I believe you guys may have copies of the report, so I'm going to go through it, but I may just not going to read every word of it. Our offices did reopen on July 6th by appointment only. Both the commission offices, the NLC side, and the TBBS, Talking Book and Braille Service. You can contact us if you do need to come to the commission for something. We're enforcing masks. There's hand sanitizer. We're not letting people use all of those facilities. There's actually a table set up right by the entrance door where we'll meet you if we need to exchange things. Book club kits, whatever people do need to do. We are still not doing passports. That is something that is just too much touch with people, so we are just still not doing that. A lot of our staff are still working from home. I'm at home right now most of the time, and so we've had at least 2/3 of our staff at home at most times. Some people come in once a week. Some people come in all the time, but there's not a lot of interaction with people there. So we're still keeping things going now from home. I just want to remind everyone, we do have information about COVID-19 resources. We're still right in the height of the pandemic. So we've got a page, we're always adding things to that. So as new reports come up, new studies, new webinars, information or resources, we add it to that page there. So hopefully that could be helpful for people. As far as budget information, Rod has given me some information on that. Our budget request we are putting together right now. It's due September 15th to the state. So we're working on our justification for maintaining our budget. Tax receipts have declined naturally lately, so that may be affecting our budget whenever we do hear what it is. But right now, it's still unknown because we have to put in a request. We may have, there's various federal proposals that have been put up for more money for libraries and library services. And we may get more money from that may help balance out some of the things that we might not get from the state budget, but that also is still unknown. So there's been no action yet about LSTA. That is typical. They usually at the very last minute give us that information, or even after the start of the fiscal year, October 1st sometimes. Previously, our allocation was reduced because our state expenditures and what we got from the state government legislature did not meet our what we should have, our maintenance of effort. But the new proposal for what LSTA will get could increase that. So we'll probably come out better, but same thing, we're still waiting to hear for it. and to see if there's any more federal stimulus funding that'll be coming to anybody. Our Library Innovation Studios project was put on hold, of course, because of the pandemic, but we are attempting to start trying to get that going again. I believe Superior was the first ones being contacted to potentially do some training. It was postponed, and I think they are now trying to reach out again to get things started up with that. They will be much smaller classes, workshops and trainings. They're a limited number of people to keep social distancing and to be safe. We are doing a lot more video trainings, or we're doing recordings of some of the sessions actually to be provided so that more people can get trained, but be trained safely. So a lot more of that is being put together, and hopefully that will help get people trained. I don't know what's going to happen with the libraries and how you are opening, and if the people will be coming in to see and use the makerspace equipment, but some libraries have said we're ready to start up again. Let's see what we can do. The last 2 years, we have gone to the Nebraska State Fair as our makerspace event each year. We are not doing that this year, even though there is apparently, at last I heard, still going to be a fair. That is not safe for us or anybody coming there, so we will not be doing a makerspace event this year. CARES Act grants. We received money for that, and we have approved and given out, well, haven't given out the money. We've let everyone know if they've received grants. So anyone here who applied, you should have gotten an email from me last week. We had almost $175,000 was allotted to us. It was done by population, and we have a low population. So we are issuing 66 grants to 64 libraries, and plus Central Plains Library System. They are the one who had arranged for, well, Denise had started up the Reader Zone account for the state, and that became a statewide thing for summer reading. And now part of this CARES Act money, we have allotted to make that a year-round subscription now, funded by this grant. So it's going to continue through, it's going to pay for what already has been paid by Central Plains, which started in May, and then go through, I think it's August of next year. I'd have to double check. So everyone has been notified that they're receiving the grant. We're working on the paperwork now. Hopefully next week sometime people should start receiving their paperwork, agreements, requests for payments that you can then start sending back to us, and then start receiving your funding. And we're working on a press release for that as well. We have to write it up, put our information in it, then we have to send it to the governor's office to approve, and then we're allowed to actually put out the press release. There was a lot of summer reading program reimbursement in it, COVID-19 response supplies, plexiglass protectors, masks, hand sanitizer stations, things like that. Lots of laptops and Chromebooks and iPads for doing, lending out to people. Wi-Fi hotspots, quite a few libraries increasing their Wi-Fi hotspot lending programs, or just having one to begin with, and Wi-Fi extenders to bring internet out into outside the library building for people to come and be able to use it safely. So really glad that we really get all that money going out. The ARSL conference, Association for Small and Rural Libraries, is coming up September 28th to October 1st. It is going to be virtual only. Usually the conference is about 3 days. They've extended it to a week, and they have sessions, the same sessions that would have been in person are going to be online, Monday through Friday that week. And we did have CE grants that we had given out to people to attend the in-person conference. It's supposed to be in Wichita, Kansas. Those are still good. We'll just pay for registration for the virtual version. And we reopened the CE grant application, actually. We obviously have plenty of money now that we don't need to pay for travel or hotels or things. So we reopened that. Applications are open through the end of August. We think that maybe there will be more people, some people who didn't apply at all, because even traveling just down to Kansas, which is very close, easy for us, sometimes is too much for some libraries. They can't take those 3 days or the travel, but being able to just sit at home or sit in their library office and watch online is something that now they'd be able to handle. So we've reopened that for everyone to apply, and we have received some more applications for that. So hopefully we'll get a lot more people being able to log into and watch the ARSL sessions. E-rate, we are what I'd call done with E-rate for 2020. Everyone who submitted applications for E-rate this year has been approved. everybody who applied, it's done. We ended up with 60 libraries getting funded for a little over $108,000 in discounts. We had almost all the libraries got their basic internet service, and we had 8 libraries do internal connections, which is like, actual equipment. So we're getting a lot more libraries doing that category too, which is great. And getting new routers and switches and cabling and whatever all they asked for. So E-rate is all been approved for this year. And now the next step is for libraries to start getting their funding and start thinking about next year. We'll talk about that later in the year. Something else related to E-rate is the NUSF 117. This is a special construction state matching grant program. When E-rate did its changing and updating a few years ago, they included a process where if a state entity would help provide some funding to libraries who are applying for what they call special construction, which is getting new internet, new fiber run to their buildings, digging the trenches, running the lines, doing all the installation and construction involved in that. If a state would put money towards that, E-rate would match whatever the state was putting up to give them even more money. So we had a rural broadband task force that had been going on for the last year or so to work on studying this. It's actually studying rural broadband in general across all areas, not just libraries. But libraries is a part of that. And as a result, in response to that, the Public Service Commission has actually put up $1 million to use to fund this special construction program. So libraries will apply for special construction if they want to, starting this year. They can do it over the next 4 years. The money is good for. And then they'll get a discount from E-rate. They'll get some money from the state that will cover what they have to pay, and then even some more money from E-rate that will match whatever the state is paying. So an example is if you have an E-rate discount of 80%, you receive 80% just because you applied for E-rate, then 10% more comes from the state and 10% more comes from E-rate again. And then your special construction for getting this fiber run to your library ends up being completely free. Now that is if you're at the 80% level. Some of our libraries are at 70 or 60, but you'll still get a lot of help with getting this done. E-rate applications are open right now. The application on the Public Service Commission website to do that extra special construction to participate in that is available too. I'll give you the link to that. And we will have some more information and training coming up about that. Fall book celebrations, we usually have a lot of this going on. Things are different, of course. Nebraska Book Festival, they've canceled that for this year. They'll do that again in 2021. At the moment, they're still planning on doing the celebration of Nebraska books in October. That is where they do the presentations of the different awards, Nebraska Book Awards, etc. So we'll see what happens between now and October, but at the moment it is still on for that. The Library of Congress does their National Book Festival at the end of September. It's a huge event in Washington, D.C. That is going virtual entirely. They are not going to be doing anything in person. So they've got a few days of virtual events going on for the National Book Festival. We're doing Encompass Live every week, as usual. Trying to keep up with that. There's the schedule that's coming up. I'm still working on next week's show. We got to finalize things for that still, so you can see it's not on there. But that's just what we do have coming up. And Basic Skills has resumed again. We did take some time off because right when everything really blew up in March, that we didn't think people needed to worry about keeping up their basic skills coursework as well. So we took a break and stopped that for a while, but we have picked up again, and Reader's Advisory was moved so that it could be done. That was a very popular one. And then the rest of the classes are being held as they were scheduled. The 3 classes that were canceled, Library Technology, Intellectual Freedom, and Library Finance, we're still working on when or how they will be rescheduled. If it will be somehow this year or just bump it to next year. If there's any issues with anybody who needs to get their CE or their certification, Holly and Linda are already proactively reached out to library staff about, we'll extend your certification period, we'll give you a pass because of everything that's happening this year. And that's it on my report. Any questions?
Krista, this is Karen Drevo. With the pandemic and the very real possibility that many Nebraska students are going to have to do school virtually, at least some of this school year, quite possibly. what is the Rural Broadband Task Force and the Nebraska Public Service Commission and the Library Commission doing to get more broadband out to people who, I mean, there's so many people in this state who don't have decent, reliable internet service.
Right.
Is anything being
Like,
talked
you're talking
about?
about just like in their homes, right? Because there's not
Just,
anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know off the top of my head, and I can look into that. As I said, the Rural Broadband Task Force was about rural broadband in general. It was about schools and libraries and agriculture and business, and the fact that in general, historically, as we know, like I said, broadband outside of any major cities is horrible, and something needs to be done about it. There were multiple recommendations that came out of the task force report, and we focused on the library one because it had this extra funding because from the Public Service Commission. So I actually hadn't really looked into much about what, because other organizations would be handling whatever they were doing. So I can look in that and see, but it was a very positive report saying yes, all these things should be done, and now whoever is in charge of being able to do them, do something. Kind of the and the Public Service Commission, what we have is E-rate at the federal level is the Universal Service Fund, universal service fees that you get E-rate from. In Nebraska, we have our own, that's what NUSF is the Nebraska Universal Service Fund. We happen to have our own here in Nebraska that is for the same purpose, so it's kind of like a local Nebraska version of E-rate, where there are sections of it that are for libraries and schools and healthcare. So we have our own in-state version of that, additional monies that can be used for things like that. And that's where the part here for the libraries, and this is for libraries and schools actually, is the special construction, because E-rate is for schools and libraries and schools. So this is something that could be used by schools to get to their locations. I know you're talking about personal at home. I would have to look and see what is being done about that though.
That would be good. I know we've known forever that it's a big problem, but I think with the pandemic, it's just really exacerbated the situation. And
it's the people who, like us, who live in these rural areas have known it's always a problem. And now other people are suddenly discovering the digital divide, the rural digital divide, that it's a thing. Surprise.
And all the more
struggling with it for years.
Good public libraries who offer Wi-Fi and but even at that, we still need to be able to get this out there to people who can't get to a library
at home. Yeah. I mean, we can do what we can for the libraries and get them, like with that CARES Act grant money. Pretty much anyone who asked for laptops and devices that can be lent out so that people can take it home, Wi-Fi hotspots to take home, ways to get that internet elsewhere. That's where our priority was, and that's what we were given, told by IMLS, here's your priorities, to give out all that grant monies for those purposes. So we tried to get all of those out there as much as we could, along with
I know we keep buying more hotspots, and then we still have waiting lists. I mean, we have dozens of them now, and we just can't seem to do enough.
Yeah. Well, we're hoping that some of these new, also there's, the new proposals in the federal government, there's parts of there, and there's ones that are specific to libraries, and that will even get more money. We got the IMLS got that first 50 million, and there's other proposals out there. So hopefully some of them will go through, and we'll have more money that we can distribute out. Fingers crossed. But I'll look up that task force, see if I can find the actual report, the full report, and send it to you guys, so we can see exactly what everything else is going on. Like I said, this special construction thing is really big for us here, especially me being in charge of E-rate for you guys, to make sure that everybody knows about it and that we've got all the steps down. So I've kind of been focusing on that part, just that section of the report, and not the other ones. But yeah, I'm gonna write myself a note here.
Okay, thank you, Krista.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions or anything else you want to ask me about? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Krista. All right, so moving on to finance. Tammy, you want to take this, the quarterly year-to-date expense report and all the financial stuff under this bullet?
Sure. Since it's kind of the quarterly meeting and the annual meeting together, they're kind of lumped together in this little section. And the quarterly year-to-date expense report, get it up on my other computer. So it's the monthly treasurer report from May through July of 2020. It gives all the information for those 3 months. So like we would do in a quarterly meeting, if everyone's had a chance to review it, probably need an approval or acceptance of that financial report, or if there's any questions. And actually with limited travel and no workshops going on and no conferences, it is, I'm sure, much more sparse than it's been in years past and quarters past.
I know with the situation being what it has, perhaps you haven't had long enough to seriously consider our office space situation.
No, I really wanted to give it at least 6 months. My thought is it's arrogant to come in and just say, I'm going to make all these changes. So I wanted to give it a fair 6 months. And the way it is, Chelsea's been able to do a lot of the work at home, at her home. She's forwarded the messages. She goes in and checks on things often, of course. And I go there once a month. And so I haven't given it a fair shot either. So
maybe instead of 6 months, maybe we're looking at a year to really
right
for it. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to any thoughts. I think we've both been very actively working with our hands tied, as everyone has been during the pandemic. So, you know, maybe that's something to look towards the future. I don't know, but yeah, we haven't been able to give it a fair shot, I don't think.
Well, I think you've both been doing very well given circumstances. We're all doing the best we can.
Thank you. So were there any questions about the quarterly finance from May through July?
Okay, well, if not, then we just need a motion to accept the quarterly financial report. Can I get a motion for that, please?
Gretchen, make a motion to accept the quarterly financial report.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Gretchen and a second from Karen to accept the quarterly financial report. All in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. All right, motion carried. Tammy, the end of fiscal year review.
Right, so that would be the Trails Profit and Loss Budget versus Actual report from July 2019 through June 2020. That gives an overview of the entire year. So I hope everyone's had a chance to review that. And I did not put on the agenda that it needs an acceptance because each quarter has already been accepted. This is just the culmination of all 4 quarters.
Okay.
It's just an opportunity to get the big picture. And this is what I used kind of as a tool to create the next year's budget. And I hope everyone had a chance to review that. I did make, for some reason, I had overlooked putting money in there to increase our book kits. So I did change that and highlighted it in yellow. And of course, as I think it was David pointed out, there really are no conferences this year, so that scholarship money was not really necessary. So that was changed from the very initial, what I put out there. So I highlighted that in yellow too. But that was almost right away. I had put it out there that he had caught that. I did put ARSL. I think I had left 1,200 out there thinking we could still get watch parties together, and then commission set forth to do that. And I still thought, well, maybe we could do watch parties and have meals. Well, watch parties just really didn't come together. So that should probably be dropped to 0, I believe. Unless it is for next year. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm trying to remember. Chelsea, do you remember? Did I mention that to you? Was that $1,200 for next year's? Because
Maybe, I don't remember if you mentioned if it was next year's, but I guess since we don't know what next year's gonna even look like, it's gonna be hard to budget for it.
well, we're next, isn't that terrible? I did all this several months ago now to think on it. I think the ARSL scholarships should be at 0 because next year it'll be on a different fiscal year. So I think that should be 0 rather than 1,200. So I will change that. Does that sound correct to everybody? I think I had higher ask.
Yeah, I think that makes sense to me.
I think I had higher thoughts of it being able to still do something, but.
Tammy, I do have one question, just so I make sure I'm reading this correctly. So you have a column total dollars over budget, and a lot of those are negative numbers after they are added up. So if I'm trying to have 2 windows open here and unmute myself simultaneously. So like, where did I have an example here? Under, we'll look at like line 81, total vehicle maintenance. Total over budget is a negative 1,269. So I assume the way we read that, based on your budget and what I perceive to be the expenses, we actually have 1,269 under budget.
Are you looking at the last year's report?
Yeah, 19 to 20. So the TRLS profit and loss budget versus actual. So you've got a column L called dollars over budget, and a lot of those numbers are negatives. So essentially the way we would read that is, for example, on line 81, total vehicle maintenance, we've got $1,200 left because it's considered an over budget, but it's a negative number.
That's the way I've read it too. The
Okay.
expectation was to spend 5,318.
300, and you spent 4,000, right? Okay. I just wanted to.
Chelsea? Yes.
Yeah, that's accurate. Because then we've only really spent like about like 75% of the budget or of that total vehicle maintenance. So that would be right. That we would have the extra. That would be the extra.
Thanks. I just wanted to make sure I understood how that was being done, and it makes total sense now, but I just had to think it through.
The negatives and positives in accounting can drive a person nuts, I think.
Yes, there's a reason I'm a librarian and not an accountant.
Were there any other questions on the budget that I put forth for 2021?
I'm just curious, how heavily are the book kits used?
They go out pretty often. In typical years, a lot of the schools, it's kind of our major link for the school librarians, because they'll do reading circles and things, and then public libraries will borrow them too. This year, it's going to be really down. School got let out early, and then no one's been borrowing over the summer, so it's going to be a lot lower than usual, but they typically are pretty busy. I don't have like a specific like percentage number or anything.
Okay, well, I'm glad they're getting use in a normal year.
I am actually going to try to be really proactive that way, working with Chelsea. For instance, Stanton requested a library kit, the public library. So when I go to Omaha next time, I'll physically pick it up and then I will deliver it to Stanton. I figure if I want to visit libraries here and there anyway, if I can save the postage either way, it gives me a purpose of going there when I would be going there anyway. But so I plan to do that as much as I can.
Sounds like a good plan.
So maybe that'll increase usage too if people don't have to worry about having them shipped off every single time. Were there other questions about the budget?
All right, well, if no other questions, then we just need a motion to accept the proposed budget for the fiscal year running July 1st, 2020 to June 30th, 2021. So someone want to make that motion?
I'll move that we approve the budget.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved by Rosa and seconded by Karen to approve the proposed budget. All in favor, say aye.
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 I
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. All right, so motion carried to accept the proposed budget for fiscal year 2021. Okay. Then we have to go into an executive session for the salary review for Tammy's salary. Is that correct?
Actually, it's for Chelsea's. I did have a paper there with some comparisons from past years.
Okay. Just have to find that.
I do think when I started, my review was going to be early September because that will be the 6 month mark.
Okay.
So I could make a breakout session and throw everybody who's not on the board into that while you have your executive session, or perhaps it'd be better to put you in the breakout and then you'll be able to come back when you're done.
Yeah.
Okay, and bear with me because I have never done this. Okay, breakout room number 1. Krista, will you go in the breakout session with them?
I do sometimes if they want me there just for advice and whatnot, sure.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
Oh, did we make a motion and second for executive session?
Oh, no, we did not. Do we need to go ahead and do that, Tina?
Yep.
Okay, so need a motion to actually go into executive session. So could someone?
Oh, shoot, and they're all in the breakout room already, I guess. Can you do that in the breakout room, or is that too late?
Well, I don't know. I'll go ahead and join. How do you want me to do that? Join the breakout room? How do you do that?
Yes. Oh.
The screen went away.
Well, shoot. Like I said, I have never.
We all back.
Okay, the
You
breakout
wanna-
room will close. Shoot, I'm sorry.
But
But Tina, do you want us to go ahead and make the motion to actually go into the executive session? So someone needs to make that motion.
make that motion.
Okay, Dave made the motion. We need a second, please.
I'll second.
Rosa seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Okay, shall we try this again, Tammy?
Yeah, we'll try it again. It looks like the breakout is supposed to close in a few seconds. Okay.
Okay.
Open all rooms.
So the board is supposed to go into the breakout room, is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Okay, they're gone. That was interesting.
How interesting. I didn't know you could do a breakout thing. I was curious how that was going to go.
I have done it in classes, but it was already set up by someone else. I have never set it up before, and I was actually going to practice that and see if I knew how to do it. So I guess I.
Well, I think it's hard to practice those kinds of things when it's just you, like trying to figure it out.
Oh, well, believe me, Chelsea, I'll be calling you and saying, hey, join me in Zoom and practice this. Usually I do it with my daughter, but she's Head Start teacher, so she's been back to work for a while because they got a new building. Otherwise, she's my go-to person to break out or, just practice anything.
Mm-hmm. Is she worried about going back to school?
No, she's excited. It's Head Start kids. They've always been germy. They always will be. So I think she just loves every minute of it.
Yeah.
So isn't it a weird feeling that they're in a breakout session talking about you?
Yes. I must have been last year when Eric and I just left the room and we just kind of waited. And I was like, this is the weirdest feeling.
Yeah. I don't know if you took the opportunity, and of course this is recording now too. I don't know if you took the opportunity to read the request that I had put in for.
I did, yeah. I really appreciated it.
Oh, well, I mean it. You know how much I mean it. I contact you about just the oddest things that I really value your experience and what you know, so.
That's nice. I feel like I don't ever really know very much, so it's funny to put it like that.
Oh. No, don't sell yourself short because you've always been able to give me the answer, so.
I thought I'd come into the office today in case anyone had any questions. I could have QuickBooks all pulled up and click on anything and see, but it was just kind of just a couple questions.
Yeah.
On through.
And where they had ample time to look through it, I figured if there were any questions, they would have already addressed them.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't think there would be too much.
Good.
I guess I worry a little bit about, I live on a farm and our internet's just not the fastest. I guess I worry about freezing up or something.
My internet's not very fast either. Whenever I try and Zoom with one of my friends or something, it's always so slow. So I was like, well, the office will be faster anyway.
Yeah, I think that was a good idea to have everything available just in case.
Yeah, I always worry. I was like, this is the one time we'll have an annual meeting where I can be like, actually, I have the file right here, and I can pull it up right here.
Hi, kids. I just had a meeting. I was going to ask you guys, so Tammy, are you back in the office sometimes, or how is that all playing out?
I can barely hear you, Dee. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. It looks like we're out of session anyway, so
Sorry.
no worries.
Well, that was kind of fun. I've never done breakout rooms before.
Yeah, we're back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. That went fairly smoothly. Okay.
Jennifer, now you make a motion to come out of executive session and return to a regular meeting.
Okay, can we have a motion, please, to leave the executive session and return to the regular meeting?
Also move.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Here we are. Okay, so do we make that announcement as to what we've decided? I'm so sorry, I'm not a very good president.
Yeah, I think
Yes.
you should announce it.
Okay, Karen, do you want to make the announcement or do you want me to make the announcement?
You're president, you go for it.
Yeah. Okay, so the board has decided and moved to increase Chelsea's salary to $16 an hour this coming fiscal year. We really appreciate all she's done and the dependability that she's shown in these strange and unusual times with this pandemic has just been incredibly difficult for everyone, and you guys have really shined through and done a great job. So thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. That's great. Thank you.
I wish we had a clap emoji.
Yay! All right, so let's move on to the Trails Director's Report. Tammy, take it away.
Okay. Well, as everyone knows, I started the position on March 2nd. I hit the ground running. I went over 1,000 miles, visited 13 libraries in a couple weeks, and then came to an abrupt stop. And right now I'm still just easing into it because if libraries are limiting to only like 10 people, I don't want to be one of those 10 people taking a spot. So I guess I've been communicating with libraries through emails and phone calls. I'm on the phone a lot. We've bumped up the Zoom meetings that we've done for over 2 years. We've bumped them up to every week. And I started a Facebook group that's very interactive. I'm really pleased. There's 66 or 68 members, and I just love it when people ask questions. And, you know, it's great to send an email asking a question, but then to try to get the information so everyone gets results. I think this is a good option. I have 142 CE credit hours, and it's not even due until October of 2021. So just a little bit of an overachiever there. But a lot of webinars and a lot of Zoom meetings, like ARSL Zoom meetings. Nebraska School Library Association, they have really great Zoom interactive meetings. I spent a lot of time reviewing all the files from Eric and from Anika. So this was a really good opportunity. I don't know that I would have actually been able to stop and do that and learn from their knowledge if this hadn't happened. So I guess the silver lining. Yeah, and I've been exploring the Nebraska Library Commission website, and even as a public library director, every time I would look at it, I still find something new that just more information that I've never noticed or come across before. So in the ALA website, and struggling to learn all the statutes and all those fun things too. So I do feel like I stay really busy, probably doing different things than I would have been doing had it not been a pandemic. But again, silver lining, it's different opportunities. July, I went to the Antelope County Directors Meeting, which Jennifer was there. Very nice. I was so thrilled to have been invited. I think it's a neat thing that they have those. And then Madison County had a commissioners meeting in the courthouse, and I was invited to that. And it was interesting just to see how different counties do things differently. And I found that interesting. And I think I mentioned I'm going to be going to Stanton next week. I'll be picking up Book Kit and delivering it to them. So I'll get a chance to see their library, and they know I'm coming, so I'll slowly start getting more visits in, but I'm just right now taking it slow just because of the way things are. One major thing that I've done, and I mentioned it to Jennifer and Rosa, I guess, is that, and it was on the budget, the checking account had over $200,000 in it, and the savings account had like 30,000. So I took 2,000 and transferred it from checking to savings, partly because the checking is attached to a credit card, so it would be more easily compromised, which I would think we would catch it right away or the bank would catch it. But I checked this month, and instead of like $1.30 in interest, it was over $9 interest. So I figured, to me it made sense, so I hope everyone else agrees. Let's see, Association of Rural and Small Library. I was so excited about starting some watch parties or something, but I put out a doodle poll and less than 25 people responded. I was devastated, which I think that's probably normal, but it was so spread out, and so we kind of dropped that idea. So sometime in the future we'll do stuff like that. Or even maybe we can use some of their sessions to build workshops around when things are back to normal. Let's see, System Peer Coordinator. Right now we only have Lisa Mackey in the Knox, Cedar, Pierce, Wayne, Dixon, Thurston, Dakota region. I do know that there's been interest in a replacement for me and a replacement for Rosa, and then in the Cass, Sarpy, and Douglas County area, I think I could probably find someone. I would really like to go forward and have those positions filled if the board would agree. So I would like some input on that, what anybody else's thoughts would be.
I think it's in the budget and we already had it set up to do it. I don't know why we wouldn't fill them.
Tammy, I think you will do a good job putting something out there in writing for them, giving some guidance and helping them know a timeline and ways that they can assist the libraries in the area and ways that then they can communicate with you, and that would increase the benefit of having those peer coordinators out there.
Right, yes, I would like to have just expectations written out. Because
well, I think our libraries need to know too that these people are available. I think a lot of libraries don't know that there are peer coordinators who are there to help and to give some guidance. So I think maybe we need to do a better job of that too.
To help them know that they're out there, plus to really know what that person can do for you.
Right.
Right, yeah.
And to me, I think it would be a benefit for me to have just extra sounding boards, people out there. What do you think of this workshop? Will you help me?
Yeah.
Help me set it up, you know, or it would just almost be a hands-on, a helper, I guess. Okay, good. I'm excited to, I figured, okay, with only one out there now, we either need to stop it or go full bore. So I'm excited to look into having the positions filled. I guess that's what I had here, that I would create a job expectation list, and we'll regularly schedule meetings to share ideas and programs, and we'll plan and facilitate in-person meetings for each region once that's capable or possible. And they would regularly contribute to the newsletters, and they would assist with workshops, training programs whenever they could. Okay, good. I'll go forward with that. I've got all kinds of workshop training program ideas, policy writing, grant writing, ethics, different ILS system. I already contacted Follett and Apollo, and they would be thrilled. I mean, that's a way to toot their own horn and show what they have available. But I always hear from different librarians that they don't even know what reports their own systems can do. So this would be a good training tool for them. and like Baker and Taylor Ingram's, and UNO has Dr. Cass Brady, Erica Rose. They've given us lists of different presentations they could do. And the Nebraska Library Commission, lots of great resources for like WordPress. I know Amanda Sweet had given a WordPress workshop when Eric was here, and everybody liked it, but they wanted something a little more in-depth and hands-on. So maybe a little more in-depth WordPress workshop development, maybe some basic computer skills training courses, and just stuff, well, like with Holly Wolt, she had mentioned switches, routers. A lot of librarians have to be their own IT department, and they don't know what to look for. So maybe some different things like that. Nebraska Overdrive, Advantage, Nebraska Access, Novelist Plus. Some of these probably have had workshops done in the past, but it doesn't hurt to revisit them because there are a lot of library directors who are new. Cataloging and shelving, it always amazes me when you go to a workshop, it seems like the conversation goes to that, even if that's not what the workshop's about. Copyright, fair use, Google products. I was shocked how I thought I knew how to use Google Drive and do Google Calendar, but I'm very rusty on it. So if I am, other people maybe too. So anyway, all these ideas that I'm waiting for an outlet for.
Something else I would like to see on there, Tammy, is summer reading.
Right.
That should probably be something on the calendar for even late fall.
Yes, I guess I thought that kind of went without saying, but yes, obviously. I know Eric had done a couple, and I thought that was a good idea for fall and spring.
I know, of course, this year it's going to be an unusual year again, but you know, in the past when we were able to have a couple of summer reading workshops in the system, we would have, I remember sometimes here at the Lifelong Learning Center, we would have maybe as many 75 people, and they really, really liked the craft ideas and getting to see, you know, economical things that they could do and have hands-on. And I hope maybe someday we can get back to something like that.
Yeah, I know the counts have been down, and I don't know why or what to do about it. So maybe everybody, once this pandemic's over, everybody's going to be thrilled with going back to in person. Maybe it'll just boost up normally because everybody will be thrilled to be able to do so.
Well, I just want to second kind of what Karen said. It was really great when there were presenters there who actually brought the ideas, and participants could maybe get involved and do a craft or an activity to see how it worked out. Sharing ideas is always great just among the librarians, but it was always nice to have a presenter or even someone who did a larger program to be at those workshops to give the libraries and librarians ideas, and like I said, some of those shoestring ideas where, because not all of us have a lot of money for craft ideas, but or crafting supplies, but things that people have in their homes and things like that were always nice. So just second.
And programming ideas and
Programming.
just there, you know, I you know, Zoom's great, but I think by the end of this pandemic, we're all going to be virtualed out, and maybe we'll long to have some in-person connection. I mean, there's value in that too. And I do know it's hard for people to get away from their libraries to go to a day-long workshop, but I think by the time we come around the other side of this, people might be really ready to do that.
Yeah, that's one of my goals too, is to try to stress to people that sometimes it's valuable to close the library to go to a workshop, that it's not good to be just isolated without getting out there and learning from others and networking with others.
And we could certainly have a hybrid too, where those who absolutely cannot get there, we could still have it available virtually, but also have an in-person option.
Right, that's a good idea. School library and public library connections. I'm worried that I won't be able to visit many school libraries this coming year. I'm not sure how that will go, but I am kind of trying to make connections with the ESU personnel in the regions. I know that I've been to workshops that they have presented at, and I have always enjoyed the input that they have. So I think that's a valuable tool. And we do have several new directors in the region: Cedar Rapids, Niobrara, Oakdale, and then Hooper, I think, was last fall, and St. Ed was last fall. So there's new directors, so that'll give me an opportunity to see how I can do with helping them open the door for communication. Oh, and I put a note on here with the Omaha office that I really didn't get a fair evaluation of how it works to have the office. Oh, and I did talk to St. Ed Library Director. They have lost their accreditation back in like 2014, and their board's not certified. So she had asked me how to go about doing these things. So I gave her information on the board certification and so on. But I'm kind of excited. I offered to go speak to their board to talk about the importance of a board and their responsibilities and goals and advocacy and community involvement and so on. So kind of nervous, but kind of excited. I think that would be a fun opportunity to get out there. So I told her she'd be my practice one because I've never done it before, but I think it will be a good experience. And I think that's kind of all I had, but anybody has any questions or anything?
Tammy, I don't really have a question. I just want to give you a little bit kudos to you for being able to work through these unusual times and being very creative and still being able to reach out to people in different ways. So I think you've done a phenomenal job.
Well, thank you.
Well, and to just start your position and then bam, this hits. I think you have handled it with a lot of grace and really, as Jennifer said, you've found a way to keep going, and I applaud you.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay, I don't know that we have to vote on the report, just accept your report. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then move on to committee reports, scholarships. See, Karen, who's all on that committee?
I'm on that one.
Dave is, and I think I am, and
I think I am. Wait a minute. Yes.
Even Chris.
Chris.
Chris. She's not here.
Chris isn't here. So I don't believe since the pandemic, we have allocated any scholarships at all. And I don't know that any are likely to be forthcoming. Of course, I indicated to Tammy back in summer when we were putting together a budget that we probably wouldn't need to plan for as much money this next year. I suppose it is possible in 6 months conferences may start again. I'll be a little surprised if it happens that fast. But I don't anticipate a lot of gatherings or a lot of need for scholarships to attend gatherings for the next 6 months at least. We could consider, online continuing education tuition reimbursement for people or something like that, but I just don't think we'll be distributing much in terms of scholarship money for conferences anyway.
Well, Tammy, you mentioned that there was still some money in there for people who are last minute ARSL, want to attend that virtually. There's still a little bit of money, or still money for that. So that may be about the only expenditure we'll have here in the next, like you say, 6 months possibly. So we
Yes.
can look forward to maybe some of that.
I don't really foresee that either, because the Nebraska Library Commission was very generous with
That's
their ARSL, and so they were giving 500. So instead of one person getting 500, 10 people could get 50. So I think they will have ample to take.
Okay. That's true. Okay, well, if that's all we have for the scholarship committee, let's move on to the nominations committee.
Well, we got Rosa.
We got Rosa.
That's our report.
And I did include a list that I hope is accurate of all the board members and the terms. I couldn't really find a really cohesive list, so I tried to make one up, and like I said, I hope it's accurate. So if you find any discrepancies, please let me know.
All right, so then continuing our continued education CE committee. Who's on that committee? I don't have that.
Yes, that's me.
That's you.
Yeah, and so right now there really has not been anything. So I have been, of course, promoting anything I see that I think's worthwhile, either via email or on the Facebook page or in conversations. But yeah, without having done any workshops or anything. And I really hesitate to offer virtual workshops because I think everyone's just getting so tired of it. So next quarter, maybe there'll be more there.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I think you're right. Then we're all getting a little tired of looking at each other on a computer screen, and I hazard to guess that by the time we're ready to meet or can meet in person again, well, there'll be a lot of people, and we'll be so happy to see one another and visit that way. So let's move on to the activities report / panel. Tammy, what exactly did you have in mind here? I guess I'm not for sure what this is.
Last meeting we had, we decided in lieu of getting presenters, since it would be virtual, everyone just kind of has an opportunity to have a platform to say what's been going on in your world. So just kind of a panel of saying what's life in the life in Neely, Nebraska.
Okay, so do you want to start with as the board, directors, or the commission, or how do you want to go ahead about that, Tammy?
Just
doesn't matter.
Whoever wants to start, if you have a story to share about things going on.
I think we all have a similar story, don't we? Same old, here we are stuck at home type of thing. I guess I'll start. We did close temporarily in March through June 1st, and we reopened our doors with some restrictions. We do require masks within the library and try to limit to 10 people, which is not usually a problem. Limited our computers to 4 stations instead of 8, not offering any in-house programming. Summer reading consisted of make and take or pick up kits, STEM kits and activities. Annie was doing some Zoom story times and Facebook Live story times. We recently, in July, she was able to go back into the daycares. She goes to 3, and that was after talking to the daycare providers. They spoke with their parents and if they were okay with that. So then she was okay to go ahead and resume that. So she resumed going back to 3 daycares and basically does a traveling story time where she does the stories and takes a little craft and things like that. I was anxious to, since our tween book groups were suspended once school let out in March, I was anxious to kind of keep those kids engaged with our tween book groups. So instead of actually having in-house book groups, we did what we called book circles. And so I actually has a couple of book kits in-house that we use. So I had some 4th and 5th graders in one book circle, and we read The Wild Robot. And then a 6th grade book circle that we read Elijah of Buxton, which actually was a weeded book kit from the library system. So thank you, Chelsea. And that went really well. And I'm hoping that we can continue that once the school year begins, because they're not allowing visitors in the school. So I can't go visit those kids at school, but they can hopefully maybe come in here. And it's a small enough group that we can social distance, and they're really good about wearing masks. Today, actually, we just started our preschool story times back in-house. We usually have a fairly small group, with some of those kids that we would normally have had are now moving on to kindergarten, so they're not preschoolers anymore. So I'm kind of getting a glance out the doorway, but I can't really see who's here. And I heard some little voices, so I know there are a couple here at least. Other than that, we're just trying to live day by day and change things up as needed. We have hand sanitizer stations, just asking people to, you know, be respectful of one another. We had one gentleman early on that refused to wear a mask, and I handled it. And then after speaking with the city's attorney, he said that since the library board did put it in its policy, that we could legally require masks, require him to wear a mask. If he refused, we could actually call the police. Thankfully, we have not had to go there, so he has not been back. So hopefully our little friend doesn't come back, because it's not that we don't want patrons, but we don't need that type of patron. So that's life in Neely.
I'll go next, because our library was maybe a little different than a lot of libraries during this whole event. We did do curbside for a few weeks with our door locked. But I'll tell you, I ran myself ragged trying to take everyone's orders, fill those bags, line up the times. So March 13th, we did unlock our doors again, and we have had such a great response from our community. We don't require masks. We ask you to do what's comfortable for you. We do insist on maintaining a distance. We do not limit due to age in any way. Children come in, get their books, whether they're with a parent or not. Like I said, our community, that works well. So I get a lot of comments from our community. They're so thankful. We see a lot of patrons that we didn't used to see, and I think some of them did a lot of the overdrive, but there's such a wait now when you want something on overdrive that they are coming in. I have been purchasing so much more in large print than I used to, because I used to borrow from other libraries. And when that became limited, I discovered that if I order right away, I can get that softcover large print, which is also discounted, as opposed to the hardback. And people don't want that one. Anyway, so that has been really, really good for us. Our book clubs have been amazing. We have 4 book clubs in our community. 2 are library sponsored. And briefly, we did 2 Zoom meetings for our book club. And then the ladies, they wanted to meet in person. So we were spacing out and doing that. And I'll tell you what, our hour-long book clubs went from 1 hour to almost 3 hours, because people are so wanting to see each other and discuss what they're reading. So that has been fantastic. It's also created a need. They asked me to create little Facebook groups for them. We have one that is just to discuss our books, and one that is to discuss what we're watching on Netflix or anything else. So that has been really awesome to bring everybody together. Our afternoon book club is our retired older women, and we did not meet. I did not want them to meet for a while, even though I knew they were still going to coffee and playing cards, but I didn't want to encourage them. So we started back up in July with theirs, and I moved our tables around so that they were kind of forced to social distance. But we have a good turnout at that again. We have about 8 to 10 of those ladies, and our nighttime book club that I was talking about before, we have grown to about 16. So that is just amazing. I am encouraged to hear Jennifer say that she's doing story time, because I have wondered if I can do that or not. So I think when school starts, maybe I should do it before school starts in case that doesn't go well at school, and start doing ours. I might call you, Jennifer, and see how that's working for you, because we've always had such a good storytime group. I can't go to the nursing home like I used to every other week, so I took them a whole box of books, and I told them I had quarantined those books for almost 2 weeks. And they're a bunch of our weeded large prints, so they can just keep them, because I have a hard time getting them on a schedule now. I don't know, it's just been very difficult, and I feel so bad for my readers that are in the home, because this has to be terrible for them. I don't know what else to say other than I'm very thankful to the commission, because we are going to get some tables to put outside, which I think will really benefit the people who come, because I can encourage them to also sit outside. It might be something we can use, I'm hoping, for our story time. I'm ordering actually a rectangular and a circle and a square table, so that I can easily tell the little kids, you guys are at the round table, you guys are at the square table. So that'll be kind of fun for them. We'll incorporate a lot of shapes into our discussions. You know, we just have to make the best of everything. So that's how we're doing.
This is Gretchen. I hope you don't mind if I go next, because we have our new staff today, and they came in yesterday, and so they've been kind of walking around doing a scavenger hunt around the school. But I do not have any idea how library checkout is going to go when we get back into school, because our focus is getting the kids back in, and then that comes secondary. But I will be doing mobile library for the elementary. I will be going into the classrooms, and the classrooms are going to look different now. Every single class is now having desks instead of tables to promote the distancing, and we have hand washing stations we had to put together the other day at the front for the front entrances, and there will be temperature scans every day, and the kids will be wearing masks, and staff are required to wear masks as well. And so it's very surreal. I feel like we're living in a movie that is never going to end, and hopefully soon. And now the last few days I had to, excuse me, the tribe donates backpacks for the kids, and so we have been doing backpacks. There's 480 backpacks, and we've been putting school supplies in those. And so it has been a labor of love, because that's a lot. And yeah, I don't know what else. I don't know if you guys have any questions, but just doesn't seem real.
Gretchen, what kinds of things do they put in the backpacks?
We have notebooks, folders, pens and pencils for the high school, and then for the elementary, crayons, markers, notebooks, and pencils. So I don't know if you guys, there's these fascinating 2.5 gallon Ziploc bags that I'd never seen. I love them, because last year we had 3 different kinds of backpacks, so we could tell between high school, middle school, and elementary. And this year they're all the same. So we just put them we're just giving the backpack and then handing the Ziploc, instead of, having piles, because, when it gets a little chaotic, this backpack may be put in a different pile, and the high school gets crayons, which they clearly don't use. So yeah, and I actually did the school supply shopping on Wednesday, and I went to Omaha, and I visited 3 different Targets and 1 Walmart. So I wiped out some serious school supplies. Yes. And I feel like I did a really good job, because I spent about $800 and some, so less than $2 a backpack. So I made sure we got the bargains.
Well, you sure did. That's
Yes.
great.
The lady at Target, we bought pencil boxes and I had a flatbed, and then they took it up to the front, and then they saw me coming with my cart full of stuff, and they're like, "Oh, are you Gretchen?" I said, "I am." So, and I took my nieces with me, and it was fun because they were a big help, because when you're buying all of those different things, you tend to lose count of what you have and what you need. So it was kind of a crazy shopping day. And that's about it. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. Well, I'm probably going to go meet with the others, and you guys have a great year. I will try to pop back in before this is over. Bye-bye.
Bye, Gretchen. I guess I can jump in and go next. Our city will not allow us to require that the public wear masks in our library. All of our staff does when we're out in the public area, and we have spaced staff in our office situation so that we are distanced. But because we can't require masks, and we are going to continue, we've been doing story time on Facebook Live. We're going to continue that. We're also going to offer where preschools and different organizations can book Zoom story times with us. And we're going to continue that way for the foreseeable future. We've been doing all of our book clubs via Zoom. And I've been amazed. We have, I think, 5 book clubs. We have a Tuesday night adult book club. We have a Wednesday morning adult book club. We have a 20-30 something book club. We have a Golden Sword book club for kids 8 to 12. And then we also have a teen book club. And I do the Wednesday morning book club. And a lot of my people in that book group are in their 80s and 90s. And they love doing it via Zoom. And they keep asking, can we keep doing it this way? And then there's some who want to come in person, but we're just not quite ready to do that. So I think when life kind of returns back to the life we once knew, I'll probably do a hybrid where those that want to come in person can come in person, and those that want to join via Zoom, we'll do it that way. And today's our last day of our summer reading program. This is the last day they can turn in completed reading records and get their prizes. Because we really could not do any programming, we made craft kits for kids, young kids, and then we also made craft and STEM kits for teens and adults. And when we were first scrambling to make plans, my assistant said, "Oh, teens and adults aren't going to want to do this." And I said, "Yes, they will." And guess what? They did. And we would run out of those. And during June and July, when we were giving out the kits, we would every Monday, people could drive up between 11 and 1 to pick up the kits. They were in little bags. And if preschools or daycares wanted them, if they let us know in advance, we would have a bundle ready for them. And during those 2 months, we gave out roughly 4,000. And so this fall, since we won't be able to do programming in person here in the library, once a month, we're going to put together craft kits that people can pull up to our drive-up window and pick up. And we're going to work on the logistics of that. And we're kind of, looking ahead to next summer, we're kind of thinking it could be a rerun of this year. And we're working on getting some sponsorship that we can continue to offer craft and STEM kits for people to pick up. when people would pull up to pick those up, we would be masked and have them pop their trunk or hatch, and we would just set in there what they needed. And they would just thank us profusely. You know, they were so grateful we were doing that. And the families would have fun sitting around the table and working on these together. And lots of times we would tell them, hey, put pictures of your completed kits on our Facebook page, and they would do that. So that was a lot of fun. We, when we closed completely to the public, we did have a locker system that we would put things in, and a lot of people really like that and want us to continue it. So we, even though we are open quite a few hours a week to the public now, we still have our locker system available, and we also have a lot of people that do the drive up. So we don't foresee ending those services. We will continue those indefinitely. And starting Monday, I believe we are going to discuss our plan to open for all of our hours. And that might happen like right after Labor Day, I think is what we're shooting for. Rosa was talking about your outreach. Our outreach librarian has stayed busy during this time. She's worked something out with the nursing homes and the assisted livings, and with people that she serves individually that are homebound. And I don't think we've seen much drop off on that. And you know, if nothing else comes of this, I think we are more appreciated than ever by our communities. And so many people rely on us for Wi-Fi and printing and so many things that we hope we can continue to. I really, really hope the school year goes swimmingly, but I just think it's possible we are going to have to, we're following the color chart from our health district, and right now we're in the yellow. If that changes, if we go into the orange, then we will be pulling back some of our hours and services and so forth. And I think we're maybe going to bounce around some in the course of the next year, and just not knowing how to plan. And it's tough. So, but we'll all just do the best we can and keep moving, keep reading. That's all I have.
Yeah, I can go next. I think my story is somewhat similar. Our president is not allowing us to require masks in the building. And really at Wayne State College, the only place where masks can be required are in classrooms where social distancing is not possible. We are really stuck. We have never closed. We will not close. And really have very little room to maneuver. I've never felt like I had less autonomy than I have felt this spring and this summer. There is really nothing significant being done to increase the safety of the building. I was ordered last week to bring all the chairs back that we had pulled back, so we will be operating at normal capacity. And of course, in 10 days, we will have 3,000 students arriving from all over the region, including, you know, somewhere between a fourth and a third of our student body comes from Omaha, which is now one of the national hotspots. So I don't expect it to go well this fall. And our hands are really tied. To the best of my knowledge, we are the only academic library in Nebraska that is not requiring masks. And so it's setting up to be a tough semester. We're going to, as a staff and as a building, essentially stop all student outreach, encouraging students to come to the building, which is the exact opposite of what we have done for the past decades. Just in an attempt to limit the number of people here, because our administration is not helping us out in any way. And so, yeah, we're just doing contingency planning. I expect many of my staff will need to be quarantined or will become sick. I've already had staff that have done that just due to family members having COVID. But my fear is, and I think the fear of many faculty and staff on campus, is that this is going to be a very scary place in about 3 or 4 weeks. It's just kind of hard to imagine how, voluntary measures are going to work. That's roughly like telling students, we prefer you not park next to the fire hydrant, but there's no ticket if you do. Or we prefer that you not drink beer in the dorms, but there's no penalty if you do. If we get even a 50% mask wearing, I will be surprised based on what I've seen in the last week as students have, started to come back to town and have been in our building. We're probably running at about 20% mask usage, maybe. That might be generous. So we're in a tough spot right now. And probably will be going forward. So we'll see how it goes. That's the best prognosis I can give at this point. But there are many, 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 many very unhappy employees on campus right now. There have been multiple retirements and resignations in the last couple of weeks, and I've certainly considered doing the same. So we'll see what happens.
Dave, do you think what just happened at UNK is going to have an impact on you guys?
It's a different system. We're part of the state college system instead of the university system. So we have a different governing board, but I don't know that it will. Our president is very driven to increase enrollment, and we are expecting record enrollment this fall. And that's normally a good thing, but I think safety of staff and of students is potentially being compromised in a drive to not scare away students from families or individual students who are opposed to the concept of mask wearing. And so it doesn't make sense to me, but they didn't ask.
Well, if any of you don't know, UNK had their athletes back on campus for a whole whopping 3 days, and they had 23 kids pop up with COVID, and they had to shut down the gyms and the workout centers, and now they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with their athletes because clearly they weren't doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll have similar situations here. Based on the article that was in the Norfolk Daily News a couple of days ago, I think we've just accepted administratively that we will have lots of people put into quarantine, and we will continue on anyway. It's a little maddening, but
I just think this is going to be, I hope it isn't, but I fear this is going to be a tragic experiment opening our schools.
It is.
Because, okay, let's face it, there aren't that many people going into education anymore.
No.
And we start losing our teachers, and who's going to be there to replace them? Who's going to want to sub? Who's, it's just, I just fear it's going to be a disaster. I'm so sorry to hear your situation, Dave.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I'm going to be thinking of you.
It's not, it could have been done better. And part of the problem is that we still haven't been given all the plans, and news has sort of been leaking out slowly in terms of what we're intending to do. And I think that was intentional on our leadership's part, because they did not want people to have time to object and to panic. And I think it's going to be a really really odd to see how this all plays out, but hasn't helped that the governor has been extraordinarily unhelpful. And that's in part of what's in play here as well. So
That's
it's,
why we can't require masks, because if we've been told by our city, if we require masks, that we will not be able to get any COVID relief for the city.
yeah.
Is that crazy or what?
I think that's part of the argument here as well. And yet, why is every other state university and college requiring it? They're not going to withdraw with state aid from everybody. So.
Yeah, I was really surprised.
By now.
I was really surprised when I spoke with our city attorney that he did say that the library, since we are a governing board, that we could. And because I had heard the same, through the news outlets, that the governor was threatening withholding funding if there were mask mandates in public buildings. So I feel very fortunate that we are able to. And just to go back a little bit with a, mask mandate, like with the preschool story time, it's so difficult for those little ones to wear a mask. So we are not, it's more of a parental discretion. Any adults in the building and staff, of course, will have to wear masks, but the littlest ones, again, it's just, and we'll do the best we can with social distancing. So Dave, me too, I too express my regrets for your situation there, that like Karen said, I think they're putting public safety and behind that big dollar sign, and that's sad.
That's absolutely what's happening here. Yeah, unquestionably.
Well, I hate to see you leave, Dave, but if you left, I think everybody would support you for your reason for going. I mean, that's a horrible, horrible environment for you to be put into. And I just hope that you don't get it, first of all, and that nobody you know gets it. And that's, wow. I just had a friend drop off a kid up there whenever you opened. Drove her kid up, took her into the dorms up there. And she said the day that they brought her up, everybody was wearing masks. But now that's misleading, because now my coworker thinks that everybody up there's wearing masks. So
that's not at all the case.
That's sad. It really is. So our situation's better than yours. It's a lot like Norfolk, except for the city's not giving us directive. Other than we can't require a mask, I have asked all my staff to wear masks, and they are. And so the patrons see us wearing masks, so they're wearing them. It's actually helped. We are doing social distancing. We did remove half our chairs like Dave did. We removed half of our tables. We took out half our computer stations. We will not be doing any in-person programming, partly because you can't do anything to keep kids from infecting each other. And we had to turn our programming spaces into quarantine rooms. So there's no place for us to have programs. On top of that, we lost 4 part-time staff, and then we still never got to fill our IT position yet. So we are 120 hours of coverage a week down, and we were overtime everywhere. All the part-times were maxed out. So finally I told them we can't do this anymore. We closed on Sundays and we close early on Thursdays now, just to try to cover the schedule. And that's if nobody calls in sick, nobody gets quarantined, nobody gets whatever. So we're just trying to make it through every day. We wash the crap out of everything. We bleach everything. We spray everything with Lysol. Nothing's going to change anytime soon. I fully support that the governor's not doing enough. And I had a teacher from Fremont tell me they expect that they'll be in school for maybe 5 days before they close them back down. And that's just sad.
I applaud the the leadership we're getting from Walmart, Target, and some of the big retailers that are requiring masks, because since they have started doing that, I have observed that more of our customers have started to wear masks in the library. And I have friends who have had COVID, and it is, it affects people differently, but these were people with no underlying health issues who were desperately ill. And I don't wish that on anyone. And while some of our young children may not show symptoms of it, they can be carrying it and spreading it unknowingly. And we're cleaning the heck out of everything too. And now I'm thinking, okay, this sanitizer we're using probably causes cancer, and we're probably all gonna bite it from that or whatever, or breathing the fumes of it and everything. But this is serious stuff, and this virus is just gonna stay after us until we finally get smart.
So I guess I can go next. In Laurel, since we're tied to the school, we closed, actually we started to limit our hours with our activity rooms. And then I put out that post, I think, on Facebook at 8:30 in the morning. And then at noon, I found out we were closing everything down the next day. So everything happened pretty quick. So we were closed from March. I don't remember what day it was. We were pretty early. And then June 1st, we opened up fully. All of our hours were back open with restrictions. So we limit still to 10 people. We do limit all ages. We do have a mask requirement. We kind of keep track because we don't ever have a full 10 in there really. Our staff kind of checks to see where people are kind of hanging out and then make sure that that area gets wiped down. Bathrooms get cleaned at least twice a day, things like that. So with school starting, with meetings having started already for school, things are going to change. We're trying to keep all of the public side restrictions in place. I don't know how much pushback we're going to get because the school is opening kind of at a modified yellow. They're highly encouraging masks, but that's it. And because our activity rooms are used for professional development days, they're not requiring teachers to wear masks for those or any social distancing for that or anything else. They're going to have all that spillage in there, and our public people will see that and all that stuff. So school-wide, it's going to be it's going to be bad. Library is going to be fully open. Classes are going to be held in there for library. All of our, they're basically having us open it without any changes. So I'm doing the best I can to social distance, all that stuff, doing station work instead of full class things. So having to kind of redo my entire curriculum there. And, Dave, you talking about Wayne State kind of worries me because both of my workers are Wayne State students. And so that really concerns me because one of them is our night person, and I've already had discussions with her wearing a mask. So that'll be another conversation I'll have to have with her. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to this fall, I'm sure. And I just actually a couple days ago,
give me a call 3 weeks and I'll let you know how much mask wearing is occurring on campus, and
all right. I will do that. I had a doctor's appointment a couple days ago at UNMC, or with a UNMC doctor, and she's saying that they're estimating March is when things might start getting back to normal. That's their happy estimate, I guess, is kind of how she put it.
I do encourage you to do Test Nebraska. Mm-hmm. I have been doing that about every other week because I have parents that are 95 and 92. And so I get tested before I go see them. And I get my test results usually within 36 hours. And it's free. The one in Norfolk is just 3 blocks from my house. I drive up, whoop, whoop, and I'm out. It's something that I think we should all be getting tested as much as we can be. It's a responsible thing to do in addition to wearing masks and washing our hands and distancing. And our governor paid a whole lot of money for this, so go use it.
I kind of joke about the testing when people find out how bad it is, because it really, really, really hurts, by the way.
It did hurt.
Oh my God, they shoved that thing so far up in my brain, it was ridiculous. But and she wasn't nice either. So, but I was on a telehealth doc because I was at home sick. So they told us to use telehealth. Well, it was a doctor from the East Coast. And she said, well, did you get tested? And I said, yeah. And I was telling her about the test. She goes, oh my God, you guys are still using the nasal pharyngeal, blah, 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 blah. I was like, well, yeah. She goes, nobody's using that anymore. She goes, everybody's doing the swab one. And I'm like, not in Nebraska. We're shoving stuff up people's noses. And she's like, oh my God, you guys are so far behind everybody else. I said, no, you think maybe?
It will make you tear up because it's kind of a natural reflex, and it's not real comfortable, but I guess my experience hasn't been that it's been real painful, but you know, we're all different with that too, but it's what we have.
I have a deviated septum, so I wonder when she shoved that thing up there, if that's why it didn't hurt more because of that.
That could be, Tina.
But I will give credit to Fremont Public Schools. They are full mask policy, no visitors. They have a temperature check at the front door, and nobody gets in without getting their temperature checked. And they had 3 teachers approach the new school principal and said, yeah, we're not doing this. And he goes, well, let me have your letters of resignation as soon as you can so I can get your positions filled before school starts. And they just looked at him. He goes, they said something else. And he's like, that's our policy. And if you don't want to abide by our policy, you let us know when you guys are resigning so we can get your position filled. There's other teachers who need a job. And I was like, good for you. Good for you.
Well, this has been thoroughly depressing.
I will say, keep your heads up. We've been trying everything we can to stay positive. I don't know how to do it. I'm just letting my staff vent at every opportunity because everybody's upset, everybody's worried, everybody's angry. You name it, they've got that emotion and they don't know what to do with it. So we're eating a lot of junk food and having little parties, and today's cake for birthday day. But just talking to my staff and just sitting down and just letting them vent on me for 5 minutes has really made a huge difference. So
yeah, this is hard on everybody.
I will say we got a ton of back weeding done and a ton of cleaning of storage rooms done. So, you know, we got a lot of stuff that hadn't been done in probably 10 years accomplished. So that was good.
Our local history museum has been using this time to do a lot of cleaning, and their summer intern discovered some World War II ordnance that was live, that they had to have the bomb squad come out from the state to take care of. And evidently it had been in storage there in the museum for quite some time. So clean away, folks. It's a good thing to do.
Well, I don't have much to add since I already gave my report, but I do, in spite of everything, I have to say I absolutely love the job. It's so neat to be able to call somebody and build any kind of communication, or it's so exciting if someone calls and emails and said, hey, could I ask your advice on this, or what do you think of this, or can you look up this for me? I think it's exciting, so I still love it. And I'm glad I started the Zoom meetings over 2 years ago because like Jenny and Skylar said, we were Zooming before Zooming was cool because we got pretty good at it. I have actually did a book club with my son in Colorado a couple years ago. We had done a couple book club meetings just with us because we're nerds. So it's kind of cool to see other libraries doing book clubs that way. And as a family, I have 4 adult kids. We have done Jackbox. If anybody knows what that is, it's like family games. Have done it via Zoom. We are either on the computer on Zoom and on our phone on Jackbox, or the other way around. So We've done that probably 4 or 5 Saturdays. So anyway, we've had lots of practice with this long distance stuff anyway, because kids live in other states. So anyway, I'm usually Pollyanna, I guess. In spite of everything, I still think the job is fun and I love it. And thank you for all your encouragement and support. Chelsea, did you want to say any words?
I don't have a whole lot to say. I'm grateful I can work from home, and we work in kind of a low traffic place. It's just me and Tammy, and so, but yeah, it's just I don't have a whole lot to say. It's just been quiet. It's weird. Usually we're like gearing up for some kind of big workshop or making flyers or doing something, and it's just been really quiet. So that's pretty.
Well, it's nice to have you join us, Chelsea.
Oh yeah, I'm happy to. I always feel like I don't really have a whole lot to add because I'm just a little office girl. So, but yeah, I'm always happy to join.
She's the behind the scenes power. Krista, did you have anything to add besides your report from earlier?
No, not really. I think pretty much everything that we've been doing at the commission was in the report. That's what we usually try to have in there, is everything up to date in there. There are, people, as I said, there's not a lot of staff going into the office. Our computer team was great about when this first half started in March, when everyone started working from home, of getting people set up with laptops if they don't have their own computers, because we have some laptops that were for like doing training, or if people did have their own workstations, getting them remote access to be able to log into their computers at work from their home so that they can keep up with things. So that was great that we were able to do that. We're lucky that we have our own computer people in our agency. Not all state agencies have that perk. Our building, the atrium building, did last week, the week before, officially, because of the mask mandate in Lincoln, sent us email to us and said masks required in the building now, anywhere, anytime when you're in there. Previously, sometimes people were wearing masks. When I would go in, and I run, again, Compass Live every week from my office there, and I would never see anybody because so many people were at home. So I'd go in, hit the restroom on my way in to wash my hands, go to my office, shut the door, be there for a couple hours, never see anybody, and leave. It's still like that. I still hardly see anybody, but as soon as I go in the door, there's signs on the door. I stop and put on my mask to go in, and everyone in there in the other offices that are in the building, I see people are wearing their masks in there. And now other people that I happen to walk past in our office at the commission, I do see most of the time with masks on. But most people are still working from. We haven't had a lot of change of people changing up and coming in anymore. We haven't really needed that. People are sticking with it. We've discovered, and this is kind of interesting, so much of our work can be done from home. And I think that in many businesses and organizations like ours, where there's so much we do that's on the computer or remote or online, that having to physically go into an office, I mean, this is something that may change just in general. It's always been said, telecommuting, no, you can't do that. No, it's not going to work. You have to come physically into an office in a building to do this. But now, surprise, it works fine. We are doing everything at the commission. We are not really slowing down much. There's certain things we don't do, but I'm not doing certain in-person workshops or things, but we always did online ones anyways. And a lot of our work, it turns out, can very easily be done without having to get up, get dressed, and go into the office. I can do it from home, go into work once a week. I think many people will advocate for continuing some of that even after this is done. I just spent a year doing my job 100% by only coming to the office once, maybe twice a week. it'd be great if I could maintain that. Then I can be home when for when my kids are there, or when a repairman comes, or just for, you know, convenience and comfort. It saves on emissions of driving to work, you know, the whole whatever. So we're kind of cruising along pretty well and keeping up with things. We also have been a very do a lot of emailing in the past anyways. I mean, people go and talk to each other in offices, but so much stuff is done, I think maybe because we are a state agency, document. So yes, I can go and chat with you about whatever, but there's going to be an email so that we remember, you know, and have this all, you know, in there. So people are still keeping in touch with each other pretty well.
I enjoy seeing your little friend with you, Tammy.
Krista has one. Krista has one too.
I do.
Oh, okay. Nice.
That black spot up there, she climbs up. That's on top of our china closet. She's not supposed to go up there, but we haven't been able to stop it. So now, yeah, that's Luna. One of our cats decided to sleep up there behind me.
That's one of the benefits from working from home too, is you are able to be with your pet.
Oh,
And
that is something we're kind of concerned about. Is what happens when we do go, if we do go back to work. They are so used to us now all being here, everything has changed. We have 4 cats. They are creatures of habit, and there's a lot of stress in adjusting to me and my husband both working from home, and now they're used to it. I don't know how that's going to work out when things change next year potentially, so we'll see.
Okay, does anyone have any last comments? I'd just like to thank everybody for participating at today's meeting, and I think we got accomplished what we aimed to get accomplished. Just want to thank you again, Tammy, for and Chelsea, for the work you guys have been doing and keeping us all connected in one way or another. And just a little bit to add to what Krista was saying about working remotely, and that may be something that you can do through the commission, but that's one thing that I notice is we just so miss our people, and so much of what we do is in person, or well, that's what we hope to do. And so I'm, you know, hoping, and I'm optimistically cautious. I too fear that our school year is going to be shortened shortly after they even begin. So our programming too may just have to really pull back. But right now I would be planning for fall programming and all these after school programs, and we're going to try it sort of on a limited basis, but I'm not sure how that's all going to work out. And as much as working from home would be ideal if we could all do that, I think just as human beings and what we do in libraries is help people, and people to person contact is something that we are all just missing tremendously. I had to kid my husband. I said, we happened to get together with a couple of friends one weekend, and I kind of misspoke and said, it's so nice to have somebody to talk to other than my husband. But that's so true, is, you know, we're all connected this way. And I mean, I see my staff, but those are the only people that we saw for the longest time. And I'm anxious to get back to what we were before, if that is even possible. So any last comments from anyone?
I think we all miss our lives as they were. I mean, maybe there was a lot of things we took for granted about that, but yeah, I really miss having my littles come into the library. But this is life as we know it right now, I guess.
And of course, the safety is more important. No one's life is worth a story time or anything like that. So with that, and if there's no other comments or anything, someone could make a motion to adjourn.
I will so move. Stay safe and be well, everyone.
I'll second that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded to adjourn the meeting. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. All opposed, same sign. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Be well.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.